Hello, everyone. We have a lot to let out today. Welcome to episode 4. I'm so sorry for the delay. I know that there's so many of you that love this podcast, and we're just so impatiently waiting for a new episode this Wednesday. And when it didn't come, you didn't know what to do. I ruined your whole schedule. I'm so sorry for that. I know there's so many of you guys, so I just want to apologize. On a serious note, thank you to everyone that actually watches this because I love that I'm doing this now so much and I enjoy recording it so much. I love everything about it, but it pains me to promote this podcast. I don't know why I can't get myself to do it, to clip it up and post those clips onto TikTok or even just to link it on my Instagram story because I've been talking about people I know in real life on here, and I've also never even been even 2% as personal on my other socials as I've been on this. So I don't know if I want to push this out like crazy, I kind of like that it's a tight knit community for now, and the only people that watch this are the people that saw my one singular promotion for it. And for right now, I like it. It's comfortable. I feel like it lets me be my true self on here. So there's never going to be a delay of an episode ever again because I've now decided that I'm type A. I'm no longer type B. I've been hiding behind the term type B, even though I just learned it quite recently, and I was like, oh, that's me. I identify as that. And then it kind of made it seem cute and quirky, but it's not. I've decided that it's not. It's just another way to say you're lazy, and type A is another way to say that you have your shit together. And I want to align with that one more. I'm not a teenager anymore. I'm a grown adult. It's time that I start planning things and keeping track of things and being more organized and being proactive and all of that. Because the reason I was blaming this episode being late was that I went on my little few day vacation to Florida and I was like, oh, but it ruined my whole schedule. No, a type A person probably would have filmed it in advance and then edited it on the plane. Wednesday would have came and it would be ready to post. So in the future, that's what I'm gonna do. I also had another minor setback because when I got back from this trip and I decided that I'm gonna be so type A now, I decided to go on my iPad and clear out my notes app so I can start writing notes in here. And I came across something quite daunting, scary even. I was looking through my notes app and I saw a note from January of 2021 saying letter to self. And I saw the intro saying "Dear Lizzie," and then it was handwritten. I was like, "Oh, brother, what am I gonna see in here?" I had to brace myself before I opened that. I opened it. It was scrolls and scrolls long, handwritten, and I have really sloppy handwriting, so I could tell that I was in a state of distress when I was writing this because it was so sloppy I could hardly even read it. But basically, I must have seen some type of TikTok or something about how to manifest, and it must have told me you should speak as if it already exists, that's already you. So I was writing things as if that was my life in 2025. So I only gave myself 4 years actually to accomplish all these things that I thought I was going to accomplish. So in the moment it kind of sent me in a spiral. Not even kind of, it was a full-blown crash out. Because I was reading it and I thought that myself in 2025 was going to be on Forbes. First of all, I don't even know how I thought I was going to get there. I didn't even have a plan. I wasn't even posting online at the time. I was literally applying for jobs during that month of that year. So I don't know how I thought I was going to end up on Forbes and worth millions of dollars and own a house and whatever other craziness I thought I was going to do. And I was speaking it as I'm so proud of you, Lizzie, Lizzie in 2025. And reading that sent me in a spiral. But now that I'm looking back, I'm it's actually kind of comical because how did I think that all that was going to happen in 4 years with not even a plan in place? So I'm glad that now I can look back and laugh at that. But in the moment, it was sending me in a deep spiral, and I could not bring myself to record an episode that day because this podcast has only existed for a month, and the first 3 episodes are all already pretty depressing. So I want this one to be on kind of a high note, Because I actually do love motivational stuff. So let's show that side of me today and not just depressingness. If you're wondering why I have this puffer jacket on, even though it's like quite sunny out today, I felt like I needed to wear it because this puffer jacket is really important to me. It's from the brand called Unif. If you're not familiar, it was really popular in like the late 2010s, which is 10 years ago now, which that makes me sick to my stomach to even think about because I was going into college at the time when I was like obsessed with this brand, so that makes me sick. Anyway, my older cousin, who's like 6 years older than me, she bought this Unif puffer, and when I saw her wearing it, my jaw dropped. I was like, "Oh my god, you know what Unif is, and like you have the puffer?" Because this puffer was, I don't, probably like $300 when it came out. That brand was like pretty expensive, and obviously I didn't have a job at the time. I was like 18 and going into college. So when I saw her wearing this puffer, I was like, oh my god, I was obsessed with it. No, she never let me wear it. She didn't give it to me until like 4 years later. She ended up moving to Australia, which is obviously really hot and you don't need a puffer jacket. So then she gave it to me. And when she did give it to me, I was wearing it like every single day. I was obsessed with it. And then the other day, I was walking in the city and I saw from like a mile away, like my eyes shot to it immediately. I saw a girl wearing a big black puffer with a yellow collar peeking out. And as I was getting closer to her, I was like, no way, that's the Unif puffer. And I got closer to her, I saw the little earth symbol, and I was like, oh my god, that's it. And I'm huge on signs. I take everything as a sign, even though sometimes I won't even know like what the sign is. I spoke about this a few months ago with ceviche. I kept seeing and hearing of ceviche everywhere. And I was like, it must be a sign. I just don't know like what ceviche is trying to tell me, but I know that's trying to tell me something because I'm seeing and hearing ceviche everywhere and I feel like I've never heard of ceviche before this. And now it's everywhere. So when I saw this girl wearing this puffer, I was like, okay, I don't know what it's telling me yet, but all I know is I do need to wear that puffer and maybe record a podcast in it. So that's why I'm in this big puffer, even though it's like 50 degrees out, because New York weather is so random. One day it's snowing, one day it's spring again, then tomorrow's probably going to be winter again. So I just got back from Florida. We were in Palm Springs for a few days, which is another thing. I feel like I've never heard about Palm Springs. Me and Chris kind of just randomly decided to go there because we wanted to go somewhere that was like a short flight and was going to be warm. And we really didn't want to do Miami again. So we decided to go to Palm Springs because Chris has been there before. One of his friends from college, actually, like his family has a house there. So Chris has been a few times. So he was like, let's just go to Palm Beach, like get a hotel there. It'll be nice and relaxing. And then suddenly, like right after we booked this trip to Palm Beach, I start hearing of Palm Beach everywhere. A whole TV show came out about Palm Beach on Netflix. It was the only thing we watched on our entire trip there. And it kind of confused me because on the show it was giving like mob wives and it felt like Jersey Shore vibes to me, but the actual Palm Beach, like where we were walking around and everything, felt like the Hamptons. Like it was very high end, very old money, very classy. Everyone was in Lily Pulitzer, which I didn't even know like that was still a popular brand, but I guess to that demographic it is. Sometimes have slight existential crises when I'm in these like really old money, nice places because you just see people like casually popping into the Chanel store like they're buying candy when you're just like going on a little sightseeing. Like you're treating walking through this town as like sightseeing. Meanwhile, this is some people's like actual everyday reality that they just like hop into designer stores on a Wednesday morning. And I actually had a friend who was a billionaire with a B, like her parents at least. And that friendship kind of changed my entire perspective on life because I've never even like seen that type of wealth in my life, let alone being like actually in it. Like I would go to her family's houses with an S and like see their service workers, and like it really was an entire reality shift. And I honestly don't recommend being friends with someone like that because it will change your perception on everything. If you're just like a regular, came from a working class family, and then you're around that type of lifestyle, it will seriously send you into like some form of psychosis because you're like, oh my god, no matter how hard I ever work in life, I would never be able to ever attain this type of wealth. And some people are just born into it. And it also at the time was making me downplay so many of my own accomplishments because I was like, yeah, like I just signed my biggest brand deal, or I just made this much on Creator Fund. This was like when I was growing on TikTok. And then I was like, oh, but some other people literally are just spending that amount of money like in a few hours on a random Tuesday morning. Anyway, that's not what this episode is going to be about. Let's start talking about what this episode's actually going to be about, which is that you can change anything about yourself at any time. It's the start of the new year. People are making resolutions. People want to change things about themselves. I'm constantly always trying to improve myself, like every single day. So this is a topic that I feel really strongly about. We obviously have all heard like all of those really crazy success stories, like Oprah didn't start being on TV until she was in her 40s, and I don't know, I'm sure you've seen those like Instagram reels several times of like all of the super famous entrepreneurs who like didn't even get into their profession until they were in their 30s or 40s or 50s. So I won't just pull out a Wikipedia infographic and tell you all of that because I'm sure you've seen it already. But I think it's so much more than just like huge career changes. Obviously, you can't just decide any day that you want to change where you live. It's not that easy. Trust me, coming from me, I know it's not that easy. But what you can change about yourself any day are small things. Especially, I feel like in our day and age, there's like this huge thing about aesthetics and like someone's vibe, and you feel like if you already have a certain aesthetic, it's hard to just one day decide that you want to have a different aesthetic. For example, if you've like never cared about fashion or Instagram, but then the next day you decide that you do want to be into it now, you can do that. I think we forget that we can just do whatever we want at any time. If you've always just worn jeans and sneakers every day, but you saw someone that like really inspired you to start like dressing up every day and now you decided you want to be like a girly girl, you can do that. Like there's no one stopping you. I had a friend who I've mentioned in a different episode that I was friends with from like when I was younger, and then she came into like my college friend group and all of that. And this friend made me feel like that's something you can't do, and she would always say to me like, oh my god, that's so unlike you, I can't believe you're gonna do that, like that's so unlike you. And I hate hearing that because no one knows you more than you know yourself, and there's no situation ever that someone should be telling someone else like, oh my god, that's so unlike you. Wait, really? Like you're into that? Like what do you know? I get to decide what I'm into, and if I decided I'm into it today, that's fine. I'm into it today, and I wasn't yesterday, but now I am. I remember this friend, I was friends with her still in quarantine, which is like right about when our friendship ended. Quarantine, we were obviously all so bored, and like everyone was picking up hobbies. So many people were like starting businesses. Everyone was like just trying to do something because we had nothing to do. All I wanted to do was start painting. That was like my quarantine hobby because I loved art and stuff when I was younger. And I was like, this is the time to get into painting. I was still so young in quarantine. I like just turned 21, just entered my adulthood. And this friend of mine made it seem like I was already way too old to decide that I want to get into painting. Whenever I would post a little picture painting, she would be like, LMAO, like she's a painter now. She thought it was hilarious that I like wanted to start painting, which is crazy. Like, who cares? What if you want to start painting at 40 years old? That's completely normal and completely fine. You can decide to start a hobby at any time you want. And this friend would make me feel so embarrassed that like I wanted to start something new at 21 years old. She was like, people that want to paint like have always known that they want to be a painter. It's like, who said that I'm planning on becoming the next Picasso? I just want to start painting to have like a new hobby to do in my free time. I'm literally unemployed. Like we graduated college during quarantine and couldn't find jobs. Like we were unemployed. God forbid the girl starts painting. And this is why it's so important to leave friends in the past that no longer suit you anymore. I know I went off on this in my last episode because a lot of my mom's quotes were about friendship and stuff, but it's truly so important. Like the people that you surround yourself with completely affect your mentality and the way you think. If you're surrounded by a bunch of people that make you feel embarrassed whenever you try something new, you're likely never going to try anything new because you're going to feel like such a heavy weight on your shoulders. Like, oh my God, if I do this, what are they going to think? What are they going to say? You got to just get those people out of your life. It literally makes you feel so much more free when, even if you have no one around you, that's better than having negative people around you. And then the best case scenario is surrounding yourself with people that actually uplift you and inspire you And even if you kind of have a really out of the box idea, they're like, yeah, try it. Especially if you want to try something that costs $0. Like, why yuck someone's yum? That's what they're saying, right? Why yuck someone's yum? I understand if someone's like saying they want to get into something that might cost them a lot of money and like you're pretty sure it's not going to do that well. Like, maybe you can give some advice like, hey, think about this a little longer before you like invest all of this time and money and energy into it. But if someone wants to start something that's $0, like painting or start working out, you got to stay in your lane and let them do it. I mentioned this so many times, but in 2025, I decided that I wanted to be a Pilates girl after basically never working out ever. Like, I did cheerleading in high school, and ever since I had my last cheerleading practice, I've really never done a vigorous workout ever again. So I went years and years of like losing my flexibility, losing my endurance, all of that. I would go to the gym like once every other month, but I always hated the gym. Like, I would sign up for all these gyms and then I just couldn't stick with it because I wasn't passionate about it. And then I decided to try Pilates and I actually loved it. Like, truly, it's the first workout I've ever done that I get excited to go back to it. And it was just as simple as one day got a class pass ad for like a free month, and I was like, okay, downloaded this monthly trial. I looked through all the options. I was like, I'm gonna look for a mat Pilates class because I've done that before and I felt comfortable with it. I tried the mat first, then I moved to reformer beginner, and then I moved to regular reformer, and now I do like advanced classes, but you have to start somewhere, and you can start tomorrow. If you're listening to this and you've never done a Pilates class before and you're like, oh, but it looks so cute and fun, even if that's the only reason you want to get into it is because you think it's cute, that's more than enough. You don't need to have any experience in Pilates or working out or have any cute workout sets or any of that to sign up for your first class. There's so many free trials on like so many different apps, so many different studios. You could just do even like one free class somewhere and see how you like it instead of just pushing it off and saying like, oh, I'm not going to do Pilates until I like start going to the gym first because I heard that you need to do cardio on top of Pilates. Like, no, just sign up for the Pilates class and then figure out the rest after. I also started reading in 2025, and this is one of those things that maybe you have something similar. Maybe there's something that you used to talk down upon. Maybe you used to kind of be a hater and judge people who read, for example. I had so many TikToks joking about like, oh my gosh, I can't fathom how people read books like in their adult life. Like, why are you reading some fictional love story when you can just scroll on your phone? Or like, why? I don't know. I obviously didn't mean it. Like, I obviously knew that reading is really good for you and it's great. Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with reading, but I was more so joking. Like, I just couldn't fathom that someone would actually want to spend their time reading some like random fictional story of a book. I just didn't get it. And then I had a long plane ride from Greece back to New York and I saw someone reading on the plane next to me and I was like, wait a second. It is a really long flight and all I've done on this flight is play solitaire and rewatch movies that I'm hardly even paying attention to while I'm scrolling through my photo album. Maybe I should just start reading. So once I got back from the trip, I went to Barnes Noble and walked around for an hour. I looked at every single book until there was ones that caught my attention because I knew that the only way I was going to actually read a book, if it was something that I was genuinely interested in. And it is a slow journey. Like, you have to start something, see if you like it, and then it'll grow from there. Maybe if it was something that you like. The most important thing is trying it. Maybe in a few years, I'll be reading like 2 books a week. Right now, it's more looking like 1 book a season, but it's still an improvement because I used to read 0 books. Okay, and I want to talk about changing your appearance because you can also do that any day you want. And I'm not talking about like crazy drastic changes, but maybe you've always wanted to get a bob, but you're scared that people are going to say like, oh my god, I can't imagine you with a bob. I can't. Oh my god, like, you would get a bob? No, that's so unlike you. You love your long hair. Like, you would get a bob? Like, that's definitely something that my old friend would have said to me if I wanted to do something like that. Maybe you've always had the same makeup routine. Maybe you've always been someone that wears like super natural makeup and now you want to start wearing like more of a full beat. You can do it tomorrow. People might look at you funny for like 2 days and say, like, whoa, where are you going? You probably will hear that. People are going to be like, whoa, you did your makeup differently today. And then you say to them, yes, I did. And I like it. Thanks. And from there on out, you can keep doing your makeup like that. And by the time they see you the fifth time, it's going to become the new normal. And they're not even going to remember that you had like this big jump from natural makeup to this makeup. I know that's like a really pointless example, but that is how it works. Like, you can train everyone around you to think that that was always you, which like doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what people think, but we all know that we do care what people think to some degree. I spoke about this recently on my TikTok, but I did have a nose job when I was in college, and the doctor does tell you that majority of people don't pay attention to your face enough to even notice that you changed anything, which should make you feel better in like a few ways, because not only do your insecurities stand out a lot more to you than to everyone else. Like, I used to have a bump on my nose, and the fact that no one noticed when I changed it means that when I did have that bump, no one cared about that bump on my nose nearly as much as I did. And that shouldn't be the reason why you do plastic surgery. It should fully be because you want to do it, not what other people think. But it does, I know we do all care what people think about us to some degree. And it kind of did alter my brain chemistry a little bit, because I was like, wow, like seriously, no one noticed that the feature in the middle of my face changed. Like, I had my nose job in the middle of college, and I came back swollen. Like, not only was my nose different, I came back swollen as heck. Like, my face was a chipmunk basically, and hardly anyone noticed. Like, even one of my best friends in college, like, she was more like a school best friend. Like, I wouldn't really talk to her when we were on breaks and stuff, like one of those friends. And even she didn't notice until like 2 weeks in, and it was because I like hinted it first. I was like, "Do you notice anything different about me?" And then she had to like stare at my face until she noticed. So that just goes to show that, like, if you are want a nose job, for example, so bad, or any other like minor plastic surgery, and you're like, oh my god, like, what are people gonna think? Like, people are gonna judge me for having surgery. First of all, they probably won't even notice, and second of all, like, it doesn't matter. They won't care. It doesn't matter. I used to think about my nose every single day. That was the way that it affected me the most, was that it was just consuming my mind. Like, when I was in school, I would always think about the people sitting next to me, like, oh my god, they're probably looking at my side profile. Whenever I would take group pictures, I would immediately like search my face in that picture, search my nose, and be like, oh my god, it looks terrible. I actually deleted the Facetune app off my phone after I had my nose job, because the only reason I would ever Facetune my pictures was to Facetune my nose. When I posted that TikTok recently talking about my nose job, and I was looking for like before pictures, I literally had to scroll to like 20, like whatever year before Facetune existed, because I knew that so many of the pictures on my Instagram were a Facetuned version of my old nose. So I had to find one that was like pre Facetune days to see like what it actually looked like, because that's how much I hated it. I think that we underestimate how easy it is to just get up and do something. You can literally pull out Amazon on your phone right now and order rollers and start learning how to do the big blowout pin curls. You just have to watch a few tutorials like how to do pin curls, order some rollers, and now you can be the girl that always has nice hair. Like, it really is that simple. I feel like we trap ourselves in these cages, and we're like, no, but everyone knows me as the girl that like just always has messy hair. So it would be so random if I just started showing up every day with like a beautiful blowout. Yeah, it might be random, and those first 2 days people might say like, whoa, where are you going with that? And then they'll get used to it, and then you will become the girl that always has a beautiful bouncy blowout, because one day you decided that that's who you're going to be, and now that is who you're going to be. The same way that I decided that I'm type A now. I'm really interested to see how long this lasts, because I've been a pretty messy person my whole life, but I had to remind myself, like, no one's born with a type A gene, and I'm not born with a type B gene. This is a trait that I've given myself by years and years of allowing myself to be lazy and allowing myself to put small things off. And then I got so comfortable with not unpacking my suitcase. and with not writing down notes when I was on a work meeting and not scheduling my doctor's appointments when they needed to be scheduled and writing note of when those appointments are. I just got so used to like not doing any of these things that then it became my new normal, and you can just reverse that and now start training yourself to start taking notes on your work meetings. Guys, I worked corporate for 3 years, like remote, and there wasn't even one meeting that I ever like wrote down notes for. And my colleagues would say to me like, "Lizzie, what do you have in your notes from last week's meeting?" And I'm like, "Oh, my notes, my notes." And I had to like pretend that I was looking at something. And then I would just have to like pull out what I in the back of my mind like what I remembered. Meanwhile, a normal person would have just took notes because they knew that this has happened before, that someone asks them about their notes from a previous meeting and they didn't have them. So you should have learned your lesson and like for the next meeting start taking notes for when that happens again. You're prepared. That's not type B on my end. That is called being bad at your job and lazy. Okay, I wanted to talk about like dating a little bit in this aspect because I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but I was always the single friend, and I was always the friend that everyone would say to me like, "Oh my gosh, I can't imagine Lizzie in a relationship. I can't imagine when you have a boyfriend one day." Like all of my friends would say this. And I love them. They're still some of my best friends to this day. So I'm sure they didn't mean harm in it. But I would get told this all the time. Like, I can't imagine you in a relationship. Just because I've always been really awkward. Like, just, I don't know how to explain myself because I don't really consider myself socially awkward. Like when I go into a social setting, I can go to events by myself and go up to people. Like so I think that makes me not socially awkward. I think I'm just awkward like in general. Like it's just part of my personality. Like I say awkward things. I kind of come off like really uncomfortable and awkward. I don't know. Being awkward is just part of my identity, and my friends just could not imagine someone like me in a relationship. And then I started taking it as like serious. I was like, yeah, I'm probably never going to be in a relationship because everyone around me says that they can't imagine me in a relationship because I'm like so awkward and I can't talk about deep conversations and like I can't cry in front of people. I also could like barely hug my friends. It was like a joke with my friends that like you couldn't hug me. Hardly even still like kiss people in the cheek when I'm like saying hi to someone. I do this really awkward like head bump thing. I don't know, I get really awkward with like physical interactions, which is why my friends would say they could never imagine me in a relationship. And I also would just like laugh whenever I'm uncomfortable, and I couldn't talk about like anything personal or intimate with anyone. Kind of just became like part of who I was, that I was always like the single awkward friend. I couldn't even like flirt with guys when I went out. I've always just been really awkward, and I could have decided that that was always going to be me. Like I'm just never going to learn how to have deep emotional conversations with people, which would have never allowed me to ever be in a relationship. But I started recognizing that this is something that needs to be fixed. Like I fully understand why I am this way and why it's so hard for me to be vulnerable and emotional and like connect with people on a deeper level like that. I already knew why I was that way, but just because you had those childhood experiences that led you to be like that doesn't mean that that needs to be you forever. The reason I wanted to bring that up is because being awkward and someone that sucks at being vulnerable, those all probably seem like things that are really hard to change about yourself because it's like fundamentally who you are. But if you really do the work and decide that that's not who you want to be anymore, like you don't want to be super awkward whenever anyone has to talk to you about anything important, you can work to change that about yourself. I think that I've done a pretty decent job with this myself. I've actually like ruined friendships because they probably did something so small that bothered me, and instead of just talking it out with them, I just cut them off. And thank God I'm not like that anymore. Like now I've learned that if someone does something small, like you can just say like, "Hey, it really hurt my feelings that you did that," and then maybe they'll apologize and you'll hear their perspective on it, and then like everything will be a-okay, and like if anything your relationship grew. And that's something that I never thought that I would be able to do. For example, I had a friend, well, we're actually not even friends anymore, but I gave it a chance. We did try to fix the friendship, and this was the first time that someone like seriously, like stabbed me in the back. And I was so proud of myself. I texted them and I was like, we need to talk about this. And we face to face in person spoke about what happened, and she gave a really bad explanation, and I didn't really like her response too much. And then from there, we ended up not really being friends anymore. But I was really proud of myself that I was actually able to like face to face talk with someone about our problems. I was like shaking the whole time. But you know what? That's growth. Like the more you do something that scares you, every little time you do it, it becomes more and more comfortable, and like that becomes your new normal. Now let's talk about things that I'm actively trying to change about myself currently. I really want to adapt the lucky girl mentality because currently I do the opposite thing. I describe myself as unlucky, which is like a terrible thing. Like anyone that's into spirituality and manifestation, all of that would tell you like that's the absolute worst thing you could do. Because when you believe something about yourself, like that will become your reality. And if I'm saying all the time, like I'm so unlucky, bad things always happen to me, I'm just an unlucky girl, it's probably keeping me trapped in this circumstance of being unlucky, which some things are facts. Okay, let me let this out now before I move into the new mentality that I'm so lucky, I'm so lucky. Always classified myself as being unlucky because I always felt like I just was dealt bad cards. But I'm deciding that that doesn't make me unlucky. It just means I have a different path than other people, and I would not be who I am today if I didn't have the path that I'm currently on. And I have to appreciate that that's what makes me unique, and that's what makes me me. But other than that, I do feel like just small unlucky things happen to me all the time. For example, I would never be the person that like wins a giveaway. But some people truly do believe like, oh yeah, I am that person that always wins giveaways. And maybe that makes them enter more giveaways, which actually does then make them technically luckier because they're increasing their chances of winning because they're putting themselves in so many of them because they feel like they're that person that wins them. Since I'm that person that doesn't think they would ever win a giveaway, I won't even enter them because I'm like, I know I'm not winning that. Or if I see like an opportunity that I really wanted on social media and I see like all these other girls getting it, I will have this like bitter mentality like, oh, that's never going to be me because those girls were just lucky enough to be already friends with these huge influencers, and they were already lucky enough to like have these connections, and that's how they get all these opportunities. And although partially some of that may be true, I can't keep telling myself that. I can't keep just putting myself in a woe is me mentality, because if I do truly think that the only people that are ever going to get these opportunities are the people that were already given the silver spoon and already have the connections and already have all of that, then obviously it would never be me because that's not me. But if I start telling myself that if I keep increasing my chances of getting lucky, which in my case means like the more I post, the more I put myself out there, it does increase my chance of maybe one day that being me. But if I keep thinking to myself, like, oh, that's never going to be me, like, what's the point of trying? Then it really will never be me. And this is the biggest thing I want to work on. Me and my boyfriend gave each other a New Year's resolution each, and he said that mine should be being more positive because I do tend to have a pretty negative mentality on things, and that's really something I want to work on. I need to start believing that I'm the luckiest girl ever, lucky girl syndrome. One way that I've been doing this is spending more time on Pinterest, as like silly as that sounds. I think I just need to keep seeing like motivational things instead of just seeing those people that I am comparing myself to and in my head are so much luckier than me. It's fine if I mute them. I've spoken about this before. Even if someone did nothing wrong to you and they're probably an amazing person, it's still okay to mute them if they're bringing these like negative feelings out of you. There were two things that happened to me like in November back to back, which I was telling myself were really unlucky. Sorry, my mic just died. That same week that the talent agency people canceled on me. And then that same week, I also found out that I didn't get a job opportunity that, again, they reached out to me. At the time, I was like, oh, finally, like good things are finally happening. Like these people keep reaching out to me. Everything's going great. talent agency ended up canceling on me. And then that same week, I found out I didn't get this job that I was really excited about. This was really messed up, actually. I did like 3 rounds of interviews, and the final one was like in person. Like, we did a full on demo day. It was going to be like I would be the host of this comedy account. And I thought I did so good, which is like kind of what made it hurt more because I prepared like crazy. I was literally talking to myself in the mirror, in the camera. Like, this was something that I really gave my all to. It wasn't something that I just like took lightly and I was like, well, whatever happens, like, I'm not going to get it anyway. I seriously like prepared and tried as hard as I possibly could. And I found out that I didn't get it, and they went with the other girl. And I found this out the same week that I didn't get the talent agency. And I was so hard on myself this week. I just kept telling myself, like, I'm so unlucky. Nothing ever goes my way. No matter how hard I try, I'm just never the person that gets it. I feel like I'm always the person that's like almost gonna get something. And then for other people, it just is so much easier. Like, some people just have luck, and I don't have that luck. I was just really, really hard on myself, and it actually made me like stop posting for a while. I feel like that's a really good lesson that your mentality will affect the future, because I could have just looked at those things and said to myself, like, if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. And the things that are meant to me are going to come, and I just need to keep up with what I'm doing and not let it bug me. But that's not what I did. That's what I want to work on this year, is just working with what I got and being positive and being grateful for what I have and appreciate what I have, and not just like constantly wishing that it could be different. I think that's another reason why it's so important to like follow people who you can relate to, because it's so much more inspiring when you see someone who maybe had like a similar background to you or a similar life to you accomplish things that you want to accomplish, because then you tell yourself like, oh, it's possible. If they can do it, I can do it. Obviously, you can't compare yourself. If you want to be an actress, you can't compare yourself to Lily Rose Depp and be like, if she can do it, I can do it. She can do it because her dad is Johnny Depp. Like, we know that. So it's really important that you don't compare yourself to people like that, and instead inspire yourself. Kai Cenat is from the Bronx. He completely started from the absolute bottom, and now he's one of the top people on the internet. And he's someone that I will need to remind myself, like, if he can do it, then I feel more inspired to do it. He's someone that I can like actually feel inspired by, because I'm like, wow, he did that on his own. That was fully all his doing, his positive mentality, his hard work. Like, that was all him, and that's what's really inspiring to me. It's really important that you also follow people that maybe like you can relate to in that way. A lot of talking this episode, and it feels really good to like talk about motivational things, and I just want to leave off with the quote, wake up every day and tell yourself that this could be the best day ever. Even if it's a random Tuesday and you're just going into work, maybe that random Tuesday on the way to work, you're going to have this amazing idea. Or maybe after work, you're going to meet your future husband just at the supermarket, which might sound crazy, but you have to truly believe that. Wake up every single day and say, this could be the best day ever. That's the only way that you're going to be able to like make these changes in yourself. If you value every day as equally as important as like maybe this day that you're waiting for. Maybe like what we were talking about before, how you want to change your outfits or how you look. But you're like, oh, I'll start that on the first day of school, or I'll start that in the beginning of the year, or I'll start that over the summer. You have to just treat every single day as a day that something can happen. And if it's going to be a random Wednesday that you decide that you're going to start working out, or a random Thursday night that you're going to decide that you're going to start blowing out your hair, or a random Friday that you're going to start applying for new jobs, anything can happen at any time. And you don't want to limit yourself to like maybe only working on yourself on weekends, or only when you have days off, or only over the summer. You can do anything any day. Any day can be the best day ever, and this year is going to be the best year ever. I think my mic is dead, but thank you so much for listening. Follow me on TikTok and Instagram for my daily posts. And I do have an email, lizziedushajLIO, if you want to leave things to let it out, because eventually I want to like do those episodes, like advice session episodes. But so far we've gotten no advice to give. So please subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe, because right now we're doing word of mouth marketing because I'm terrified of marketing this. So just subscribe, tell a friend to subscribe, tell your mom to subscribe. And I love you guys so much, and I hope that you like this episode, and we'll be back next Wednesday. You bet we will be on time next Wednesday, because I'm type A now and I don't do things late. Okay, I love you guys, and have a great week and a great start to your year. Love you. Bye.